Have you observed that we remember the stories told to us even during our childhood, but sometimes struggle to remember the passages from textbooks learned just last week? In fact, stories have also been one of the most powerful mediums to pass on information, entertainment, education, generations to generations verbally. So, what is it that makes stories so powerful? It is because stories are naturally aligned to how the brain learns. When we listen to stories, it literally fires up the entire brain, releasing hormones that actually help us focus and engage better, improving a higher accuracy in recalling them as well. They don't just captivate our imagination but can also have the power to influence and change our perspectives. And now the stories we realize are so important in terms of learning and development of who we are, let's look at some opportunities, some practical ways we can use stories in different lives. So, the first is in academic and learning content. Instead of just bombarding children with text, why not share that same through a story? So, if it was geography and the Suez Canal that you want to talk about, why not tell them the story about the civilization of Egypt and why they decided to build a canal over Suez and then give details about it? At our institute, when we want to teach children as young as 5 and 6-year-olds the place value system, we have created a modified story of the three little pigs, and just through a fun way children learn the entire place value system. So you can build stories around academic and non-academic content very easily and effectively, and children are sure to enjoy and remember it much longer. Second, to increase the children's empathy and cultural awareness quotient. It's a great idea to introduce stories from different cultures. Why not introduce the kindness showed during Eid, or the feeling and the quality of doing seva that people during langar and in gurudwaras do? Or why not talk about the science behind why the social renaissance occurred in history across the world? Or why not talk about the difficulties a mother faces while raising a special child? Or the problems of poverty of an old man staying in the slums? When we talk about these things through stories, children internalize these aspects and relate to the ideas better. And it helps them become more empathetic, compassionate, and in terms of exposure, culturally grounded as well. And therefore, stories are so powerful. Third, stories can also be used as a personal development roadmap. In fact, from childhood, we are told moral stories and we remember them because we can relate to them. They become as if it's our own, as if they've been spoken to us, and we subtly, without being told a pravachan, a speech, we learn the values told. So, tomorrow, why don't you share your own personal story or the story of someone who's faced a difficulty? Not just the famous leaders. You could talk about some experience that happened in office and say, I wholly appreciate how that girl in my office did this thing and exemplified leadership or taking responsibility. Now, what happens is our brain internalizes that and takes that as a reference point that given such a scenario, this is how I should behave. And stories then become their moral compass. Third important reason that we can use stories is when we are trying to communicate very effectively. If you look at some of the best orators, leaders, speakers, in fact even marketing ads, they influence us because of the storytelling they do, right? If you look at some of the best leaders, whether they are Narendra Modi or Abraham Lincoln, they tell stories that can bring about change and motivate and inspire people rather than giving a lecture. Stories actually help us visualize the scenario and feel what the character is feeling, because the brain has a process called neural coupling. हमें वैसा ही फील होता है जैसे एक स्टोरी के कैरेक्टर में फील हो रहा है, and that's what helps us motivate and bring about change. Movies are also a three-dimensional storytelling happening. So stories have very powerful, and it is one powerful medium to really help accelerate learning as well about bringing a change in a person's mindset through communication or for personal development. And you should definitely use more stories, whether you're a child or a leader working in any space. Thank you so much. For more such informative tips of how you could use them, please make sure you follow and subscribe. Thank you.